Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today we're looking at Aurum, the Latin word for gold and where the periodic symbol comes from. Okay, so this is for 3 to 4 players. It's a trick-taking game. It's in 4K. If you are watching this as a short, please make sure you watch the full video over on YouTube. And for any comments, please do let me know via the comments are best in YouTube. And aside from that, please support the channel via Patreon, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, check out all the other videos coming, as well as the playlist for how to set up Playing View, a AmassGames playlist, and various others. So I'm initially going to set this up as a 4. It's a slightly different setup depending on the number of players that you are playing with. Assign this to a start player. They are going to start that first round. Aim of the game is to get the most gold, either for your team, if you're playing this as a 4, or on your own if you're playing as a 3. If you're playing as a 3, remove all the 10s and all of one suit. We have 5 different base metals, all in different colours, aka suits. And what we're going to do is start handing out some cards. So what you're going to be doing is finding any gold cards and leaving them to one side. They represent the trump suit, so move those off to one side. And for these ones, if I were you, I'd stack them so you can see all the different values in a moment. So I'll do that in a second. So everybody is going to take one of these cards. Again, just setting up as a 4. Must admit, I do prefer playing as a 3. And move these gold off as well. And you're going to be shuffling up all of these cards and handing them out. And there'll be 2 cards left over. So those 2 cards will be face up. So they can be these cards. All they're to show is basically what is still left in the game. And for some reason, they're choosing to show what is left rather than what is not left. Okay, so if you have any other questions, as I mentioned, this does get shared, so the best place to discuss it is always in YouTube. Aside from that, you can support the channel via Patreon, via the description on YouTube. You can also see photos of this over on Instagram and over on TikTok, so please like and follow over there. And lastly, you can join the discussion on Facebook too. So everybody will have a number of cards each, those are 12 cards each. And then what you're going to do is look at your cards and see how many tricks you think you can win. Now, as a 3, you're playing by yourself. But if you're playing as a 4, you're playing as a team. You're playing with your partner. So this person's going to look at their cards, maybe arrange them and see, okay, what cards do I have? Now, the highest card wins. So in this case, it would be a 10, but you cannot follow. So just because you have 9 and 10 does not mean that you'll play the 9, you'll win with a 10. I'll explain why in a second. So initially, you're going to sort your cards and think, well, which cards do I want to play? But before you do that, you need to pick one of your cards, and it's going to be representing which amount of tricks you think you're going to win. So over here, I'm looking through my cards and thinking, okay, we've got quite a high cards. Again, 1 to 10. Again, as a 4. If you're playing as a 3, only having cards 1 to 9. And which cards do I think I might win with these tricks? So I've got quite a lot of these sort of silver cards or moon cards. As you can see, it's like a backward crescent in some instance. And the 6s is not underlined, so just be aware of this. And you cannot sleeve these cards. They seem to be, well, you could sleeve them, but things will sort of stick out, either the card or the sleeve. So I'm looking through this and thinking I might win 1, 2, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, maybe 5 tricks. And luckily I do have a 5. If I don't have a 5, I've got to pick something near it. So I'll place that face down, everyone does the same, and then everyone's going to reveal and say, right, I'm going to win 5 tricks. That's what my bet is going to be. What I'm going to do now is then, for example, I might lead, so I might try and win this trick and play, I don't know, let's say I play a 10. Now somebody else has to follow, and they can't follow with obviously a card of that colour, so they might play another 10. Now why would they play another 10? Because if you play the most recent value, then you will win. So in this case, 10 is winning for this team over here. And now over here, they're going to take their turn and they're going to look through, and maybe they don't have a 10, but it doesn't matter, because whoever plays the lowest value card, again, breaking ties is the most recent player, they will take an extra card. So I'll show you how that works in a second. In this case, I'll show you an 8. I'll tell you why in a minute. But they can't play this 8 because it matches the colour. So they're going to play, I don't know, let's say they play the 7. And lastly, we're going to have this person. They're already winning, so they don't need to play anything else. So their team's already winning. They can't play the 7 because it's the same colour. They can't play an 8. They could play this colour, but then of course then they're going to win. I'll show you how that works in a second. But they haven't got much choice. So in this case, they're just going to play a lower value. So they're going to play a 6. So why didn't they not chuck down a 1? Let me show you. So firstly, who won the trick? Well, this team won the trick, so they're going to collect these up and have 1 trick going for their team. Now, I don't know how many tricks that they had bid, but whoever had bid the highest out of your team is the amount of tricks they need to win. It's not combined, it's the highest of the 2. So if they bid down 7, we're trying to win 7 tricks. So currently they're winning this trick. Over here though, what you're going to do is firstly, they're going to take one of these cards. Now they played a 6, so they're taking this card. Can you see? They have got 2 victory points. That represents 2 victory points, or 2 points to decide who will win the round. So I'll take this card and put it in front of them. And of course, these cards are all available, so you can see how many are left, because you might not want to play a 9 because there are no 9 values here. So again, those would normally be visible, but I'm going to put them here. They're going to take this over here, but because they came last, they'll lead the next trick. So over here, they're going to take this and have it over there just to show that they've won that trick. Then they're going to lead off. So now, suddenly they go, oh great, well, do I want to play a high or low trick? Well, it depends how many tricks they want to win. Why do you want to win tricks? Well, if you manage to get fewer tricks than your team's bid, then you'll get 0 points. If you get more than that, so imagine you got 7 tricks, you'll get 7 points, or equal to the amount of tricks that you've bid. However, if you get the exact amount that you did bid, then you'll get twice the amount. So if you bid 5, and our team, the highest value was 5, you'd get 10 points. If you bid 6, you'll just get 6, 7, just get 7. So now it's their turn to lead, and I don't know, let's say they play an 8, and whatever I've got, I don't know, I'm going to play whatever I'm going to have next, and I'll play, I don't know, well, we know the 6 is gone, and I don't think there's any more 6s left. Let's just play a 9, etc. Now, what this person might do is they might not have a higher value card, but they can chuck in this card. This is a wild card. Now, any tricks that you do win as well, over here, those are all counted as wild as well. So they might chuck in a 0, but it's a gold. So gold can always win. However, you can break ties. So if anyone else has played a gold card, you can follow with a gold. You can have a lead with a gold, but you can play a gold. So as long as somebody else has played a gold, this person can still play a gold as well, or they can just play another card. So if they played it, again, they tie, so they would actually win the trick. So they'll take all these cards, and then whoever plays the lowest value, of course, would take, in this case, they'll take an 8. So now they've got 5 points. So that's how that's going to go on. The other thing you can use these cards for is, if you are not happy with your bid value, you can spend this card, chuck it in, and it's discarded, and actually change a card in your hand into a different value. And I've seen that work effectively in the past as well. So it does give up one of these cards. Now, why give up these cards? Well, in other trick-taking games, when you happen to have, all 10s and stuff like that, then of course you're likely to win because you can bid loads of cards. However, in this game, you can get loads of points by playing the lowest value. And if you bid for loads of cards, if someone cannot follow a trick because they have not got a unique different colour to what has already been played, the round will end, unless they choose to play this card if they've still got one left, in which case it can keep them in the round. Or they can choose not to play it, and then obviously tank that round. No one will score for any cards played that turn, and if you have not got enough tricks, obviously equaling your bid, you'll get 0 points. However, any cards you've still got of gold down here, you could still be using too. If you happen to play with a card that has got a value above 0, so if you're playing this to try and win a trick, then once you've played it, it's going to go here. Of course, you've given up 3 points potentially. Okay, so what do I think of the game? Well, again, you're going to play out until the end of the round, and then what's going to happen is you're going to compare up your scores. So this team might have 17 points, which happened in yesterday's game, and someone else had 11 points. So this team will be getting themselves 1 nugget. You're going to play again, and then what happened is the same team actually happened to win again, and happened to get a second nugget. In that case, it ends the game. First to get 2 nuggets wins, so it can be a 3-round game. In the 3-player game, it's the same thing, but you're playing competitively, so you're not playing with a team, and what's going to happen is you are going to, like the first player game, in the first round, you're going to have someone starting here. In the second round, that's going to move to the left as well. So what do I think of the game? Well, I like the idea that you're trying to get points, obviously trying to have as many as you can to then win all these nuggets. In terms of trick-taking games, I think it's great. I think this is one of my top 2 rated trick-taking games. I highlight the fact that you can play low cards and still win, because in the sense that you can win with loads of points. I've seen people win on that, so they haven't got high value cards, but they've been hoovering up these high, low value cards. So a 6 is a high card to play, and of course it merits that by giving yourself 2 points, obviously 3 points for a 7 or an 8. Now, I said you can't sleeve these cards. It can be confusing who goes next, because of course, whoever plays potentially last, whoever plays the lowest value, whoever wins this trick, will of course, well, whoever wins the gold card, sorry, will be going next. As you can see how confusing it can sound. I mentioned about the 6 not being underlined, and the artwork is fine. Now, these cards are fantastic to shuffle up, because even though you've got writing on the back here, it doesn't matter, it's symmetrical. So you can just mush up all the cards. The cards will naturally be shuffled, let's say, because everything will be well dealt out. You're not going to have groupings of loads of purple or whatever. And so, like I said, it can be a little bit confusing knowing who can lead next, and the fact that ties merits the person who goes later in the turn order. That's a really good idea though, because I could play a 6, then they could play a 6, and they could play a 6, then they could play a 6. I've seen that happen in quite a few games. I love the peril of not knowing when the game could end, because it could end suddenly. It's only happened once so far, but it's been very effective to see how that works. We do have this marker to show obviously who is going next, and maybe that can move on each individual turn as well. And like I said, the cards are a slightly odd size, but I don't necessarily mind it. In terms of how you're playing out the cards, I'm glad they are actually, you can play on both sides. So if you are left-handed like myself, you can play them either way, which is very useful. Again, I don't mind the shape of the cards, are fine, they work well. The box is good, obviously it does a reflection on it. Again, 5 different suits, you do take out 1, playing it as a 3, and you also take out that 10 card as well. I like the fact that you could being, I've just won that trick, and then suddenly realizing that, that's good or bad, or suddenly realizing, I've just got 2 points for our team, which is better than maybe 1 trick. But then suddenly realizing, but now I've got to go next. So actually going later in the turn order is really good, but you can't necessarily dictate that because you're having to figure out who is the lowest value card and then following on from there. I like the fact that you can obviously win cards, special cards, and then spend them to play them again. So far, I've yet to really see people do that, but it's been very enjoyable. And yeah, this has been a real fascinating insight to play this game. So this is going in that family rate playlist as well, amongst many others. And yeah, hopefully you found this of interest. Please, of course, do let me know, and I look forward to speaking to you next video. But for now, back to the table.